Hi guys, my name is Chris, and this is my second milestone video. And so to talk about my second milestone, I guess I gotta talk about my first milestone first. That was a mouthful. But I left off my first milestone with connecting everything together. My sensors were all connected using the jumper wires, like this. However, not much of the code was done. I only had the ultrasonic sensor code, and even then I didn't have the buzzer code to really check if it was working. But during the second week, I did get the buzzer code done, just right here. So now if the distance is 20 centimeters or less, the buzzer will start buzzing. And I also got my temperature sensor to work. And here in the code, we use the DHT library. I'm using the DHT22, and it's connected to pin 12. Then over here, we start the DHT sensing, and using the read temperature function of DHT, we can get the temperature. And now, if the distance is 20 centimeters closer, or if the temperature is 65 degrees Celsius or higher, which is really hot, so you don't want to get too close to that, the buzzer will also start sounding. My design also changed because my first milestone prototype, although I had things connecting together, it wasn't the most efficient design, as I also learned how to use the breadboard better this week, using like the fact that the 5 holes all horizontally were connected to one thing. Since the Arduino only has one 5-volt pin and only 2 ground pins, each of my sensors need a 5 volts. So I used a wire to connect the 5 volts from the Arduino to one of these horizontal lines, where I then plugged in the power for my sensors onto holes on the same line, therefore providing both of them with 5 volts power. So that's how I improved my design. And one last thing I still want to add on to my product is the vibrating motor, which is right here. But if you can see, the wires on the vibrating motor are very thin, and so it was suggested to me by my instructor that I should be soldering these small wires onto the ends of thicker wires, like these jumper cables. So like if I solder this onto one side, then I can use the jumper cable to attach it with the right size onto my actual product. And that'll require some soldering, so I'm planning to do it next week for my third milestone. And speaking of soldering, right now everything's just kind of temporarily connected to this breadboard. Like I can easily pull out these wires anytime I want, and that's not a very stable product to be carrying around and walking around with. So next week I also plan on connecting everything finally on this circuit board, I think, using soldering. And then in that way I'll have a semi-permanent project I can keep from Bluestamp. And yeah, so basically most of my hardware is done, and the code I still need is for the vibrating motor, but that's about it. And that's it for my second milestone.